Hello and welcome back to another episode. If you made it through the first two episodes, then, well, I would have to say, congrats. You're the only one. Probably literally and forever. Anyway, so today I want to go over something really cool. I just bought this. I just got it. Pretty much for most of, you know what? I'm not even gonna talk about that. Anyway, it's a tiny little pocketable 35mm camera, and supposedly they take phenomenal photos. Now, the photos that I've seen on like Lomography and elsewhere on the internet look really good. Now, I'm not so sure about it, but you know what? I think it will work good. It is this little guy. Yep, check it out. This is the Minox 35 EL, and this is a folding 35mm camera. And by folding, it just means this. Look at that, pow, just like that. And this is running a 35mm f2.8 Minotaur lens. Now, this thing is absolutely tiny. It's just tiny. I mean, look at this. It fits in the palm of my hand. It goes right in my pocket. And part of the reason why I bought it is I've been messing around with a lot of these point and shoots. And the point and shoots are nice because, you know, they're just automatic. You just literally just point at something and you press the shutter. Bam, it's good. But you know what? I want something a little bit more manual that I can still just literally toss in my pocket. Now, when you fold up the camera, you can't press the shutter button anymore. It deactivates that, which is fantastic because you're not going to all of a sudden just accidentally fire off a shot in your pocket while this is closed. Now, this is a double, as I can show you right here. This is what you would call a double advance. So in order to advance the film, you do it once and twice. There you go. Just because of just the short little stroke that it has here and how tiny it is, you have to run it twice. And it's nice and firm. It's got a nice little firm feel to it. Doesn't feel like it's weak. I would like for it to be a little bit easier to advance, but you know, to be honest with you, I'm not complaining with how small this is. Now, this has a built-in light meter, and it is an aperture priority camera. But it doesn't have a rangefinder to it, so you're just going to have to do what people call zone focusing, which I guess is somewhat accurate, but I don't know. I like to call it range focusing, just because you're focusing for a range, but in a sense, it is also focusing in for a zone. Because with your aperture setting, you have a zone that will be in focus. And it shows you all that right on here. So what you have here is on the top ring, you have your focusing ring, which goes from 0.9 meters all the way up to 10 meters and infinity. And you just have to, for the most part, judge how far something is. If it's within 10 meters, then you're going to have to adjust it for this. But if, let's say, you're running f16 and you have something set at 5 meters, you actually have from about a little under 2 meters to practically infinity for your focusing zone. If you're running let's say you're running at 4, your aperture is set to 4, then what you're looking at for the same distance, a lot shallower of a depth of field. So you're looking at maybe 4 feet or 4 meters to about 9-10 meters. So it's a smaller zone for that lower f-stop. So it's just simply getting used to it, knowing how to use it, knowing how to zone focus, and going out and having fun. Now, based on what you set your aperture to, it will automatically adjust the shutter, and it actually shows you inside. When you look through the viewfinder, it'll actually show you what the shutter speed is going to be at. And inside there, it actually shows you 30, 125, and 500. So this goes up to a 500 shutter speed. So not too bad. Anything less than that, I'm not quite sure. It says 30 on here, but I know for a fact that when I covered over it, put it in f16, and hit the trigger shutter, it actually did about a 1 second, maybe 1 second exposure. So I think it goes beyond that 30. I don't think 30 is the minimum, but I might be completely wrong with that, and you know, you can correct me in the comments if you want. On the top, you have a little black button, and you look through the viewfinder, and it's the battery test button. And it tells you how to do the batteries. Now the batteries in here, it's a 6 volt, and being that normally it was probably back in the 70s, it was running a mercury style battery, which you can no longer get. So there is, with like this one, I bought it, has a little adapter that takes the LR44s, and it takes 4 of them. They are 1.5 volts each. So anyhow, that's about it for showing off the camera. Now I'm just gonna go take some photos. All right. So yeah, this is the sexy little Minox 35 EO. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cool? It's just so cool how small this thing is. And it's practically manual. I mean, it isn't manual, but it might as well be. So I'm here at this little business park. It's always just a really nice little place to go to. So it's really sunny out, so I am running some HP5 400 ISO. And one thing I wanted to add that I didn't say earlier was that you adjust your ISOs right on the bottom here. So you can go anywhere from 25 to 800. And then, you know, loading this with film is actually pretty simple. It's pretty much the same thing as most 35 millimeters. That's why I really didn't go into it. You flip the switch over and you slide the back off, and then you just load it up. Pretty easy. All right, so I really don't know what the range is of this. 5 meters is what, 15 feet? Yeah, probably. But I'm running it and running my aperture at f16, so that should be completely in focus. There we go. All done. Let's go see what else we can grab. Once I got home and I threw my film into my developing tank and actually processed it, I noticed that it was very dark and underexposed with everything, which led me to believe that the issue is with the battery being 6 volt instead of the 5.6 or 5.5 that the original Mercury battery was. So later on another roll, I actually changed this and I switched it over from a 400 ISO down to a 200 ISO just to see if I can somehow correct that issue. And then I also ended up developing it for a little bit less time in my later photos that you'll see here towards the end of the video. I walked around for quite a bit more before I had to take off. and I'm not going to bore you with all of it. So here are just a few more of the shots from this area. I had a photo shoot I had to take care of, so this is after I took care of that, and obviously taken care of a little too much. Anyhow, I decided to jump onto one of these scooters. First time ever doing it. Alright, I never used one of these things before, so we're gonna find out. Really? Now, while I'm zipping around on this little scooter, which actually was pretty impressive, it got up to about 15 miles an hour, and, well, it was quite actually fun. I would probably do it again if it didn't cost 50 cents a minute. However, I noticed how well that these photos actually came out, how sharp that they actually are. Now, keep in mind that this is still my first roll of film that I've used out of this camera, so I'm still kind of getting the quirks out and trying to figure it all out. And I did have to post-process these a little bit just to bring up the contrast and bring up the brightness a little bit, because they were just very underexposed. So here is a prime example of what it looked like before I put it through a little bit of processing and post. So as you can see in the before, it's a little muddy, it's a little dark, and the shadows and stuff like that. And even this was slightly edited through my scanning software to bring up the contrast and bring up the shadows and everything like that, just because they are really, really dark. So here's proof that not only am I a terrible photographer, but I also suck at developing. I melted my film somehow during the process.
Now, after my death-defying daredevil cruise around that little park area earlier, the wife and I decided to go to the local arboretum to get some wonderful shots and just walk around and enjoy this beautiful spring, early summer day. And not only was I shooting with the Minox, I was also shooting digital as well. And this is like absolutely the most perfect companion to any kind of photography. And this just shows it. You throw it in your pocket, you throw black and white in it, you throw color in it, whatever you want to do, and you use it as a secondary camera if you want. Like for instance here, I'm shooting digital, and I decided that, you know, I also want to shoot analog. So it sits right in my pocket, and it's perfect. And here comes another prime example of just how great of a companion camera that this makes. As you can see right here, holding digital in one hand, and the other hand I'm holding the Minox, and it doesn't even really get in the way for switching out and snapping shots. So here I'm just trying to chase some little light rays coming in through the trees, hitting things and failing at it, but anyhow. Alright, and this is the conclusion of this video. And I have to say that the Minox 35 EL is wonderful. Absolutely love it. I will carry this camera with me everywhere I go, to hell and back if need be. And my POV camera died, so that's why you're seeing just these photos, the remaining ones from this day, from this outing. And it ended with something very, very heartfelt and emotional. The Rainflower Project, where there's 675 handcrafted tulips to honor those who commit suicide every year in the state of Minnesota. And it's absolutely an amazing art display. If you live in the state of Minnesota or you're visiting, I recommend checking out the Arboretum and visiting this display here. Alright, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.